Today I'm going to review the Sunglife crank and solar powered radio. This is an AM, FM, and weather emergency radio. It has some interesting options. Let's check this thing out. In this review I'm going to talk about the Sunglife crank radio. I've got a link below to Amazon, so if you find it interesting, you can go check it out for yourself. My name is Linsdau. I'm a polar explorer and professional adventurer. I've always wanted one of these crank radios because you never know in an emergency when the power goes out, you can't find the batteries or the battery's dead. How do you actually listen to weather reports? Because sometimes cell communications go down, the internet conks out, and everything goes sideways, and the only way to get info is through the radio. And I got one of these because I wanted to see for myself how it performs. So this thing has a couple of different power modes and how you get power into it. The most exciting is the crank. So if you look on the back of the radio here, you can see the front of the radio. It's got a standard AM, FM, and then weather dial tuner. I'll show you that in a moment. But this guy literally, you just sit here and crank on this thing, and you have to go like 120 RPM. And when you crank, let's see if I can do this left-handed, you'll see the little LED here turn on, and you just begin cranking. And what my experience has been that for 3 minutes of cranking, I get about 5 or 6 minutes of performance. Now, people I've seen online complaints about, oh, that's really terrible. It's like, what exactly do you want? I mean, you're literally cranking a radio with only your muscle power to generate electricity. So in my experience, it was actually a pretty good equation of 3 minutes of cranking, 6, and sometimes I would get up to 8 or 9 minutes of performance. That's actually pretty good in my book, considering I'm an engineer and I know to generate electricity from that and spinning it, and you can hear it, doing that is actually pretty impressive. The second mode to actually power this unit is the solar panel on top. Now, you might notice the LED comes on, and when I cover the solar panel, the LED goes off. The solar panel actually in the light in my studio here actually keeps this unit slightly charged. Now, my experience with the solar charging has been, it's not that great. I mean, it's a real small solar panel. I don't assume that it's that expensive. I charged the unit up for 3.5 hours in complete sunlight, and I got 4 or 5 hours of performance out of it. Sometimes it will be up to 6 hours depending on what time of day I've charged it. So again, if we're just throwing this thing in the yard, watching it, just cook in the sun, it actually is a pretty good performer. The other way to get power into this is the USB port. Let me show you right here. And it's got just a little USB micro A adapter. This unit does come with a cable. It has the micro A and the standard USB A to plug into your charger. It plugs in, let's see if we can get it plugged in right there. And it takes quite a few hours to charge the lithium-ion battery in this unit, because it's kind of a slow sort of charger, and the battery in here is pretty substantial. Now, when I got this unit fully charged up through the USB-A, it worked like a champ. I ran this radio for, 3 days, 12 hours each day, so that's 36 hours of performance. And then I got kind of bored, like, okay, after 3 days, a hurricane's probably passed, who knows? And then I just ran it for another 24 hours till it totally conked out. So that means I could have run this radio for 5 days, 12 hours a day. How many hours is that? Yeah, 60 hours of operation. So if I was stingy, turn it on, listen to the radio report, and turn it off, I can't imagine that this isn't going to last long enough for me to get through just about any disaster scenario. Interestingly too, the USB-A port on here you can use to charge your phone or charge a flashlight or whatever else you need, so power can go into this unit and out of this unit. So that's a real nice feature. Now, this unit also has another way to power it. Let me put this cable away here. Another way to power it and that is with, instead of the lithium-ion battery, you can switch it to AAA here. And in the back, you pop off that lid there, you can put 3 AAA batteries. So if for some reason the cranking, isn't keeping you going, it's irritating, you can't charge up the lithium-ion battery, you can put 3 AAA batteries in there, and then they'll last a long, long time too, because this is a pretty simple radio. Now, the one thing I wish they would have done in this unit is put AA's instead of AAA's, because AAA's are a little bit harder to come by. AA's are super easy to come by. You can see the front of the radio there, the side with the radio there, antenna that pops up. The antenna pops up. That antenna snaps down pretty well. Let's see if we can get to click. And then the antenna telescopes up to this height. We'll do an audio test in a moment. The tuning dial is right here. It turns there. And then the on volume turns on right here. So now, a couple other features before we get to the radio feature is this panel actually flips up and it turns into a reading light. I haven't tested how long the reading light takes till it kills the battery, because I just got bored of waiting for it to happen. But you could get a couple hours of reading out of this reading light and it works pretty well. I'm not going to sit there reading my novel when it's an emergency situation with the radio. That's pretty crazy. So this has a very nice flip up light, so you can have your radio on and point the solar panel to the best angle for the sun. And then you close that. It also has a flashlight on the front with a button on the top. And you can see that guy performing pretty well. Again, it's kind of an awkward flashlight, but having a flashlight in an emergency situation is super nice. The top comes with a little hole that you can put the provided leash and hook that into. And one of the neat features is it's got a second loop here. You can actually click this in, and now you can make it a little carrying radio. That's pretty good. So now let's get on to the actual radio performance. Now, this is an inexpensive transistor style radio, so don't expect CD quality or phone quality, because that's just not going to happen. So when you turn the dial, you hear the click, and then we're going to turn this over to the weather band here, and hopefully we'll put the antenna up and we will tune the radio, and I'm doing this backwards. See, hang on, gotta switch it over to lithium ion. There we go. Yeah, there we go.
Sunny, warmer.
Okay.
High 65 to 70. North wind 5 to 15 miles an hour. Gusts at 25 miles an hour in the afternoon. Thursday night, clear. Lows around
Not too bad. Clearly you can hear it. Now, one thing when I was turning the radio on, I forgot. I made a mistake, and that's a good thing to note, is you have to make sure to switch the battery. If you have AAA's in here, switch it to AAA's. Otherwise, I normally keep this unit at the lithium ion level. I'm like, hey, how come it's not turning on? That's why. Also, if I shut the radio off and turn on the SOS, okay, that's pretty ear-piercing, but if you have an SOS thing, that's good. And also, if you want to charge your phone, you have to make sure to switch this little dial, or the switch here, down to the phone charge position, so power will come out of the USB port. Normally, you leave the switch in the middle position. The instructions leave something to be desired. They're poorly translated. I mean, I should definitely have them hire me to translate it, and that's okay. It's not that really complex to figure out. I don't have any real good AM stations here to listen to, so I will see if I can find us an FM station. Now, of course, YouTube will detect that I'm playing music, so they're going to can me. And I need to put the antenna up. Okay. There we go. And you can see when the radio's tuned, it's green.
and it's charging, so let's listen to it.
CDC says it's reviewing cruise lines' plans to respond to COVID-19, but in a statement, the agency says, quote, at this point in time,
there you
we
go.
do not have enough
It's
information
plenty loud. I mean, I'm holding at arm's length.
so we'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, no problem there.
The question of whether people even
Female
want to
voice.
go on a cruise with a pandemic going on still. I mean, I can understand that.
There we go.
companies want to.
Now, one thing about the tuning is it's pretty touchy because the tuning window is so short when you're moving the tuning dial. I mean, it jumps at the station and then out of the station real quick. So it does take some finessing to get that there. Now, of course, the whole point of this thing is to be a radio, but really that weather channel, it supports 3 weather channels, the 162.4, the 162.475, I think, and the 162.550. So in an emergency, the U.S. Weather Service, that actually might be the best thing to listen to. But the local radio stations on the FM or the AM dial are pretty good. And you can see, let's see, make sure I turn the tuner here. You can see that it moves pretty well, but it's touchy. So it's a relatively inexpensive radio, but for an emergency situation, it actually is pretty sweet. And just having a crank radio, I've always wanted one of these things, so it's actually pretty cool. So overall, definitely a good buy. Some downsides, just the tuning, it's a little sharp where you tune it in and you tune it out. It's pretty touchy, but again, it doesn't have a really long tuner, and that's just the nature of the business. But I've been listening to some country stations, NPR, from the local rock station when I can pull it in, and it sounds like a basic radio. Again, I don't have AM stations here to test, but I assume it performs about as equally. It's not a hi-fi system, but hey, that's not the point. Another thing that Sunglife put in their in their booklet is to make sure to charge this thing up once a month. So all the different devices you have that you need to keep charged so they run at their optimal performance, this is another one. So overall, I don't remember how much it weighs. It's less than maybe a pound at most, but it's very reasonable for what it is. I definitely would keep this as an emergency option in case everything goes sideways. My name's Aaron Linsdau. I'm a polar explorer and professional adventurer. Please like and comment on the video, and if you found this helpful, subscribe to my channel. Again, links below to this radio and all the gear that I use to produce these videos. Thank you very much, and stay safe out there.